And can I
Okay.
say that is a fine mustache?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Are you here? Ooh, great! Welcome to episode number 1072 of the Paul Leslie Hour. It's with great pleasure we present a personal interview with country music vocal group Chapel Hart. Are they ever a pleasure to listen to? But some of you know that already. And folks, just remember that the Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by viewers and listeners like you. To give to yourself and to others the gift of stories, go to www.thepaulleslie.com/support. And we thank you. Now who's ready for the lovely talent of Chapel Hart?
Hey, how are you?
Hello, doing so good. How are you?
All right. All right. Well, it's a great pleasure to be joined by Chapel Hart. Good to see you all. And, usually I start the show with kind of a formal introduction, but I'll just tell you real quick. I'm going to speak from the heart here.
Okay.
I was at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and I was tired. I was like a lot of people, I was drenched in sweat, and I thought my day was over. And there was this sound that was just pulling me in. And that was Chapel Hart. I didn't know yet. But you guys, and you probably hear this all the time, you guys just blew me away.
Wow. Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Paul.
That's
And,
the truth.
and especially, you know how hot it gets at Jazz Fest. So if it's something that makes you walk across that long field to go see where the sound's coming from, so thank you. That means a lot.
Well, I'm just speaking the truth here. And I'm curious, how do you all, what do you ascribe this ability to get somebody's attention of a guy or a girl who's walking by at a festival or somewhere? How do you do that? You just pull people in.
I don't know. I guess a lot of people say it's what the blood harmony, family harmonies. And so
Mhm.
maybe I would probably say that that's probably first. But secondly, I think that there's something when you have a passion for what you do and you love what you do and you get on the stage and there's something like there's I feel like almost like an electric wire that kind of runs from your passion, that runs into the crowd and runs into the heart of the people. And next thing you know, we're all dancing, we're all crying, we're all singing, we're all and I would think that that's probably the two big pieces of the recipe. But there may be more. But I always tell people, I might not be that smart for that. I may not be that smart for the rest of the science.
Would you all like to add anything?
Oh, well, no, I think that's it. That
Yeah.
kind of like just because, like she said, the harmonies draw you in and the energy keeps you there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we're talking with Danica, Devin, and Tree of Chapel Hart. And I want to also tell you all something. You all did one of the best versions of Drift Away. And
Oh,
I mean, you guys just nailed it. But I'll tell you, a few weeks before that, I was talking to Paul, the brother of the man, Mentor Williams, who wrote that.
Really?
Yes. And he was talking about his brother and what those words meant. Golly, you all just, I mean, I didn't even think this was going to be happening first it was sweat coming down my forehead, but then tears.
And then you just started sweating from your eyes afterwards.
Yeah,
I tell
absolutely.
you.
Like that moment at Jazz Fest, I feel like it was one of the most beautiful full circle moments, especially like since we literally got our start singing on the streets of New Orleans. And Jazz Fest is like the pinnacle of music in the city of New Orleans. And like I say, it's taken about a decade to get there, but and Danica always says it during the show, like David McGee, he owned this little bar called DMACC, but since the very beginning, whenever we were just trying to get things going, like, when those people who just see you and believe in you, like, stood in your corner the whole time. And And that was our song. So being able to like sing that at Jazz Fest and like in honor of his memory, it was, when I say that song tore us.
Yeah. Well, tell us about this man, DMACC. What kind of guy was he?
I tell you what, I said there's a lot of times that I think on this journey, I don't know, I don't even know if we believe that we can do this or that we believe in ourselves enough to that, there's always we're there's always that like that bigger power, that higher power, that God's always finding a way to send you people that says you're on the right track. You're doing the right things. You got to keep going. You got to stay together. You got to this. And before we were even consider ourselves songwriters, David saw something in us that I don't think that we saw in ourselves. And he was the very first person to give us a check that said, "Listen, go buy you some t-shirts." He said, "And you sell them at the show." And he said, "And you sell them for this price." He said, "You make your money back." He said, "And you bring me," he said, "you can bring me this, but bring me back a check whenever you sell all of it." And we came back like a week and a half later. He said, "You girl been selling some shirts, huh?" And I think a lot of that is because he believed that we could. And so we worked hard to make sure that we did. And he always had that push. And, and I remember talking with him afterwards. He said, "Danica," he said, "I sat at the Opry and I cried as a grown man." He said, "I've never been more proud." He said, "Y'all like my babies." He said, "I've never been more proud in my life about something." And so it just so I feel like I said, if we only had 10 minutes on the Jazz Fest stage, I believe that you honor the people who walk with you. You honor the people who help keep you together. You honor the people that even when you fall, they pick you up. They say, look, y'all can fuss, you can fight, but don't you dare give up. Look, if you got to come to, he would tell us, if you got to come to DMACC and sit down, we'll work it out. But and so that he will forever have such a special place, and not just my heart, but in the Chapel Hart organization, and every opportunity, especially when we're in New Orleans, because I think the New Orleanians get it. Every opportunity we get to honor his name, we absolutely do. And I know it was kind of lengthy answer, but I just kind of want to add to that. And it's that I always believe that people don't they don't leave you forever. They come back when you need them, or they show up just when you need them. We were in Switzerland and we sang that song and we dedicated to DMACC.
Oh my
And after the
gosh.
show, there was a lady and a gentleman, her husband. They said, "We know DMACC." They said during the show, we text Kim and they said they're talking about DMACC, all the way over here in Switzerland. And I said, "Man, DMACC," like, it's moments like that when you know that you're in the right place, you're in the right direction. And so, he'll forever have a special place in our hearts.
Well, I love unsung heroes, but I'm going to mention somebody who is a hero in music. She's twice been a guest on this show, and different people call her different things. Some people call her the soul queen of New Orleans. Some people call her Sweet Irma Thomas, and she's going to go to, or she already is in history as a legend. She is unbelievable, and she was singing the praises of Chapel Hart. And I'm hoping you all can tell us, how did you find out that Irma Thomas was a fan of this group?
I think.
So, go ahead.
I was gonna say it started a few years ago. We went to the French Quarter Fest gala that they have, and we were walking around, kind of looking for somewhere to sit, and we happened to notice Miss Irma Thomas, and so we were like, "Let's go try and get a picture. Just say hello. Even if we don't get a picture, let's just go say hello." So we tried to go introduce ourselves to her, but as we were approaching her, she was like, "Y'all are those girls that sing country and western, aren't you?" And we were like, "Yes, ma'am."
She knows us.
And so I think that was the first moment that it was just like, wow, somebody with that type of notary in the city or just around the world knows who we are, three little girls from Mississippi, she knows who we are, and she's familiar with what we do. I think that's probably one of the greatest honors. And then after that, she invited us to come out to one of her shows, and it was a moment. I think it was a really big moment for us at that time, and just hearing her say, like, these ladies they're the future of New Orleans music and what's coming out of New Orleans. They're the next big thing. That meant so much to us.
Yeah, that's had to be a very special moment. So, you're talking about these different stages, like the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and, getting to play in front of these huge crowds of people. I always wonder, what's it like from your perspective when you look out and there's a sea of people and everybody's reacting to what you're doing? What does that feel like?
I say, well, if I could get my mic unmuted. But I tell you what, Paul, there's no greater feeling than to look out in the crowd and not just have people just vibe to your music. That's a feeling all by itself. Because I go to concerts sometimes, people just stand there and look at you, and it's like, whoo, tough crowd. But to look out and see people dancing and swaying side to side and vibing with you is one thing. But as an artist, it will never, ever, ever get old to look out and watch people sing your music back to you. Sometimes almost louder than you're singing. There's no better validation, as especially I think as a songwriter, because these are the songs that you sit down and you write your heart and you leave your soul on the paper, and I always walk away and go, or if I ever get somebody to listen, or when I ask people to listen to it, I go, this might be the stupidest thing that you ever heard, but would you like to hear a song? And they're like, why do you do that? Like I've never heard a stupid song from you. But it just like, it's the thing that is so close to you. And then finally, when you release it and you let it go into the world, to watch the effect that it has on the people in the crowd, and to watch what they give you back, and to hear them say, your song saved my life. Your song helped me out of a dark place. I was in a bad relationship and I could not find a way to get out. I didn't know how to get out. But you said you could have him, Jolene. Look, I knew I was better than that. So that is, I think as a songwriter and as an artist, that is the feeling that you hope that you get at every show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were mentioning earlier 3 ladies from Mississippi, and you all are a part of a prestigious group, because if I just sit there and off the top of my head think about musicians, singers, songwriters, recording artists who are from Mississippi, what a list. I mean, off the top of my head, Elvis Presley, Charlie Pride, Bobby Gentry, B.B. King, you said.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. Right. So can you tell us a little bit about, what do you think it is about Mississippi why is this so?
I was gonna. Well, I'll start and then you can. But I think one of the things that make music that comes from Mississippi so magical is also the exact same thing that makes a lot of people, because like I feel like when we go places and you say you're from Mississippi, people be like, I don't know, or people like usually like put Mississippi like at the bottom of the list, but like it might be like the poorest state or the whatever, but the poorest state has the most like giving and hospitable people. And I feel like it comes from a place like maybe as a whole, like once you've been in that struggle or seen and witnessed that struggle, you want to do everything you can to prevent someone else from going through it, be that through sharing that or whatever, through your music. And I think that's part of, it's like that grit and that mud, the Mississippi mud is what makes it, that shines it up and makes it, maybe in my mind at least.
Right. And I think for me, I was going to just say, I think it's the heart of Mississippi. I think as a whole, the people, the atmosphere, everything about Mississippi to me just feels different. We've had the honor of being able to travel all around the world, states, countries. We've been everywhere at this point, and there's literally no place in the world that feels how Mississippi feels. And I think Mississippians feel like that across the board. And I think it goes back all the way to the people who came before us. It's just something about the heart of Mississippi that I think is embedded in the creativity that us as artists are able to put out. And I think it's received by people.
Beautifully stated. Well, I want to talk about the newest thing from Chapel Hart, And this is a collaboration with the Home Free guys. Now, this might get me into a little trouble. I hope not, but it's okay. You all did your own stamp on Texas Hold'em. I love it. And I'm going to say this, I think you all improved on the original.
Thank you, Paul. Well, let me just say, and it's so funny because we had been wanting to collaborate with Home Free. I don't know how long. I think maybe from the first time that we met them, and it's just something about getting all those harmonies together. And it was funny whenever it like first floated the idea of the song, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like this song. And then like I heard their arrangement and then like we started singing. I was like, oh my gosh. Huh. Okay, okay. You know what? Maybe you just didn't need a whole band and everything else. You needed mouth music and Home Free and Chapel Hart. But I always that has been one of my most surprising songs, I think, of the year.
So we're kind of in agreement. Now we're both in trouble.
So if I get in trouble, I'll just say Paul told me.
Well, I'm joining you all from Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm hoping you all can also touch on the collaboration you did with Charleston, South Carolina native Darius Rucker.
Oh, now we just love Darius. I think Darius is like our brother, cousin, uncle. He gives all the vibes. And when was the first time we met Darius?
At AGT.
AGT. Whenever we did the collab with him for the finale, that was our first time meeting him. And from the moment we met him, I think he walked in and he knew. He was like, what have I gotten myself into? But in a good way, though. I think he was excited. He couldn't really show it that much, but he was excited.
It's I always say like we're the sisters he didn't ask for, and he stepped up as a big brother, but he definitely did not. He did not know what was coming. But I think it's so funny. But he really is like a big brother because it's like you got your brother and he has to not necessarily pretend like he doesn't like his sister, but like big brother's kind of off doing his thing. He's always like, y'all want to go out for breakfast? Can I take y'all? Y'all want to go to eat breakfast with me? Y'all want to go talk at the? And so I was like, okay, big brother, checking in. And so we asked him one time. We said for Mother's Day, can we get 3 wishes? He was like, are y'all even mothers? He said, okay, well, what do y'all want? And so we all he gave us all three wishes. I don't even know if we told him all yet, but but I think that
collective wish.
Is what he should have agreed to, but nevertheless, he gave us 3, so maybe we'll have to use them by next Mother's Day probably. But I think that it speaks to our relationship, and also I think when kindred spirits meet, you can tell it's a lot like Home Free. We got together, and I think you didn't know if we were like actually a band as a whole, and like all the guys. It just there's something when the chemistry is electric, and Darius is definitely he's a part of. He's also part of that brothership, I think.
Well, I'm hoping you all can tell me about the average Chapel Hart fan. How would you describe? Is there some kind of commonality that your fans have? What are
crazy?
Crazy.
Because it's so weird because I don't even think when you said the average Chapel Hart fan, I immediately maybe like 30 different phenotypes, 50 different cultural backgrounds all came to mind. Because when I say like a Chapel Hart shows are filled with all kinds of kinds. I like to say from businessmen to bums, from, hood rats and housewives and everything in between. And I don't think that you can go to a Chapel Hart show and expect a certain look or a certain vibe. Like there has literally been a 70-year-old grandma from Missouri partying next to a 15-year-old emo teenage boy. And like they are having the best time of their lives. So like I'm not even sure how you would describe a standard fan.
I tell you what, I said there was a fan that said She said, "Hey, Danica." She said, "Did you see me on the interstate?" I said, "What you mean?" She said, "I saw the bus on I-65. You didn't see me hanging out the window waving." I said, "Girl, you were not hanging out the." She said, "I was." She said, "I was like, I
That's
know
the
that
Chapel Hart
bus."
fan.
And that is a Chapel
That is
Hart
the
fan.
average Chapel Hart fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like when we were in Syracuse. Were we in Syracuse or New Jersey? In Syracuse, and one of our fans saw our bus, and he was in an Uber, and he's a little bit older. We call him Uncle Jim because he just shows up like around the US. He said, "I was in an Uber," and I said, "Hey, follow that bus."
Follow
And
that
I think the
bus.
Uber driver was trying to tell him that's not how Uber works either. This isn't a taxi, but he followed the bus and got to the show. That's a Chapel Hart fan.
The Chapel Hart
Okay.
fan.
That's beautiful. So, is there anything that you all are dreaming of? Anything that you all want to do with Chapel Hart that maybe is on the horizon, or maybe right now it's still a dream?
Ooh, one thing I really, really want to do is Saturday Night Live. I think it would be, that's one of my dreams. That's on my list of things I want to do for sure.
Yeah, I think Saturday Night Live. I think because we recently like dipped our toe into the improv waters a couple times, and I was not expecting to have as much fun. But I think Saturday Night Live, it's like it's a combination of the comedy, the music, the fun people to work with, and all of that. But I don't know. But I think if we could do, I would love to do like. I feel like we've done bits and pieces of like touring around the world, but I think I would like to do like a full on world tour.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like hit all the arenas in all the major countries and like just like not like a couple months here, come back home, like full on pedal to the metal and like just see all the people and all the places and mostly just eat all the food everywhere.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I was like, she kind of took the last one. She said the words right out of my mouth.
Well, I always like to end the show. I like to give the guests the stage. And the funny thing about it is we just never know who's watching. We never know who's tuned in. I know a lot of Chapel Hart fans are tuned in, but for anybody, whether they see this next week or they see it a year from now, what message would you all like to leave to that person who's joining us? Each of you.
For me, I'm gonna just say keep going. Life is going to life every single day of the week, and there is nothing that you can do to stop it. But what you can do is pray and just try your best to keep moving forward, however, the best way that you can.
And I would have to say, like, as times and everything else change, just stay true to your authentic self. It might not make sense to the people around you. It might not even make sense in that moment. But if you're true to who you are, like the time will come and people will like recognize your like authenticity and beauty for what it is.
I guess I'd have to leave with for the fans who have been following, but also for the new fans who are, dipping their toe in the water. Thank you for your support through all the years. Thank you for when we got that golden buzzer on AGT. For people who ran to social media and said, "I'm here to support you." Through the good, through the bad, through the ups and the downs. And the fans have not let us down. They have been there every step of the way. And so we just want to say thank you so much. And we don't take for granted the love and support that they give us, and we are so grateful. And so for every day that we get up and every day that we put that foot forward, it's for you. So we want to say thank you.
I can tell you all, when you all finished that performance in New Orleans, this is a weird way to say that somebody, they know in that moment, I'm a fan of Chapel Hart. I took out my phone, sweat is pouring down. I've got still tears in my eyes. I immediately followed you on Spotify, followed you on Instagram. I thought, okay, I got to be connected right away. And I hope everybody out there does the same. Thank you all so much. It's been such a pleasure. I knew I had to get a hold of you all and dreams come true. So here I am talking to you all.
Come on.
Thank
That's
you
that's
so
a way.
much.
That's a walk away message right there. We tell people all the time, if we can do it, you can do it. Dreams are still coming true every day. So thank you, Paul, for sharing your platform with us, brother.
Thank you all. God bless.
Bless you,
bless you.
friend.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, the Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.